You're in a safe place, sweetie.
Agent, keep your distance.
It's okay.
Abort.
I just missed your heart.
Meet Hanna, a 15-year-old girl, looks completely innocent. She lives with her father, Eric, in a desolate, snowy wilderness. Despite being completely cut off from civilization, Hanna knows a great deal about the world. Eric has taught her 6 different languages, and she is a master of hand-to-hand combat. Whether she's using a bow and arrow or a gun, her aim never misses. Eric has spent the last 13 years training her for a reason. As a former CIA agent, he discovered a dark company's secret, which made him a massive threat to the agency. To save his life and his daughter's, Eric fled civilization and hid deep in the wilderness. One night, while Eric is listening to music, Hanna tells him that she wants to experience the real world for herself. Eric warns her that the outside world is far too dangerous, but Hanna insists that she is finally ready to face any challenge. Seeing her determination, Eric opens a hidden compartment and pulls out a transmission device. He places it in front of Hanna and warns her that the moment she flips the switch, the CIA will immediately pinpoint their location. He tells her to think carefully, because once she presses it, there is no turning back. He explains that she will have to eliminate Marissa, the ruthless CIA agent who wants them both dead. Without a single hint of fear, Hanna flips the switch. Instantly, the CIA intercepts the signal. Agent Marissa calls an emergency meeting and announces to her team that Eric has been found. Capturing him is the agency's top priority. A heavily armed force is sent to their cabin. Sensing danger, Eric tells Hanna that they must split up and meet later at a designated location in Berlin. As soon as he leaves, the tactical team surrounds the cabin. 2 officers breach the house, but Hanna handles them easily, neutralizing them both in less than a minute. However, the rest of the force quickly overwhelms her, capturing Hanna and transporting her to a high-security CIA bunker. Once there, an officer attempts to interrogate her, but Hanna refuses to speak to anyone except Marissa. Hearing this, a woman who looks exactly like Marissa enters the room and claims to be her. To verify her identity, Hanna begins asking a series of specific personal questions. The woman answers every single one correctly, because the real Marissa is secretly feeding her the answers through an earpiece. Once Hanna is fully convinced that this woman is Marissa, she breaks down, hugs her, and starts crying. Watching this emotional outburst on the security cameras, the agents outside grow highly suspicious. Sensing a trap, they grab a sedative injection and rush into the room to knock Hanna out. The moment the guards step inside, Hanna springs into action, easily overpowering them both. She disarms one of the agents, grabs his gun, and immediately shoots the fake Marissa. Hanna then eliminates the remaining guards, shoots out the security cameras to blind the control room, and escapes her cell. Watching all of this unfold from her secure bunker, the real Marissa is left completely shocked. Meanwhile, in a nearby lab, scientists have been testing Hanna's blood and discover something abnormal in her DNA. Just as Marissa is reviewing this shocking medical report, Hanna breaks into the lab, grabs the file, and runs. Multiple tactical agents try to corner her, but she outsmarts them all and escapes the facility through a ventilation tunnel. The tunnel leads her out into the middle of a vast desert. Soon after, a vacationing family passes by. Hanna meets the teenage daughter, Sophie, and her younger brother. Sophie kindly offers her a ride, but Hanna politely declines, preferring to travel alone. The scene cuts back to Marissa, who is busy burning Eric's files from a secure locker. To explain her intense grudge against Eric and Hanna, the story flashes back to the past. We see Marissa ambushing Eric's car while Hanna and her mother are inside. Marissa's brutal attack kills Hanna's mother, but Eric manages to rescue baby Hanna and flee deep into the wilderness. Marissa has been hunting them ever since. Meanwhile, Hanna's long walk brings her to a small village, where she notices the locals washing their clothes near the water. Needing a disguise, she quickly steals a change of clothes and heads to a nearby hotel. Since she doesn't have any money, she tries her luck with the hotel owner, asking him for a free room. The owner is incredibly impressed to hear a foreign girl speaking fluent Arabic, so he agrees to help her out and gives her a place to stay. Later that night, Hanna unexpectedly runs into Sophie at the same hotel. Sophie invites her to join her family for dinner, where the two girls bond and talk for a long time. The next morning, Sophie's family packs up their camper to continue their road trip. Seeing her chance to travel undetected, Hanna sneaks into the back of their vehicle and hides, hitching a ride out of the area with them. Back at the hotel, CIA agents corner the elderly owner to interrogate him about Hanna's whereabouts. After reviewing the security footage, they discover that Hanna has hitched a ride in Sophie's family car. Once they get the information they need, the ruthless agents execute the old man. Meanwhile, the story cuts to Eric, who has successfully traveled by sea to reach a nearby port city. Two police officers spot him acting suspiciously, but before they can make a move, Eric overpowers them, takes them out, and dumps them into the water. Marissa is alerted to Eric's arrival. On the road, Hanna secretly watches Sophie's family having fun from her hiding spot in the back of the vehicle. Sophie's younger brother catches a glimpse of her, but he decides to keep her secret. When the family stops at a campsite for the night, Sophie spots Hanna as well. Instead of being upset, Sophie tells Hanna she doesn't need to hide anymore and invites her to travel openly with them. Hanna agrees and shares that she is heading to Berlin to reunite with her father. Later that evening, the girls meet a local boy who strikes up a friendship with Hanna. They go for a ride and hang out, but the moment the boy tries to misbehave with Hanna, she instantly delivers a brutal kick, dropping him flat onto the ground. Then we shift back to Marissa, who tracks down Hanna's maternal grandmother in her search for the girl. Marissa ruthlessly interrogates the elderly woman, but when she refuses to give up any information, Marissa shows zero mercy and shoots her in the head. The scene cuts to Eric, who is making his way to the Berlin rendezvous point. Noticing that a group of armed operatives is tailing him, he purposely leads them down into a subway terminal to eliminate the threat. The hitmen follow him into the underground station, but Eric effortlessly takes them all down within minutes. Picking up a walkie-talkie from one of the fallen men, Eric listens in and realizes these mercenaries were hired directly by Marissa. Determined to end this, Eric tracks down Marissa's personal apartment. He takes out the armed guard stationed outside and breaches the home. However, Marissa is one step ahead. Anticipating his move, she had already abandoned the apartment before he arrived. The story returns to Hanna, who is still traveling in the van with Sophie. Suddenly, Sophie's mother notices a suspicious vehicle tailing them, and Hanna immediately realizes the danger. Knowing these operatives are after her, Hanna makes a brave choice to protect the innocent family. She looks at Sophie, tells her not to follow her no matter what happens, and leaps out of the moving vehicle to draw the heat away. Marissa's mercenaries instantly give chase, tracking Hanna into a massive shipyard filled with shipping containers. Using the tight spaces to her advantage, Hanna vanishes into the shadows. The moment a guard spots her, she attacks without hesitation. Showing off her incredible strength, she fights off multiple armed men at once. While the chaos unfolds, Sophie secretly follows the noise and witnesses the brutal brawl from a distance. Terrified by Hanna's lethal combat skills, a panicked Sophie runs straight back to her family's van. After neutralizing several thugs, Hanna finds herself cornered by Marissa's top hitman. With the operative closing in and her path blocked by the open water, Hanna takes a leap of faith, diving straight into the sea to make her escape. To get information on Hanna's destination, Marissa's operatives capture and detain Sophie's entire family. Marissa arrives to personally interrogate them. She targets Sophie's younger brother, who cracks under pressure and reveals that Hanna is heading to Berlin to meet her father, a secret she had shared back at the campsite. Meanwhile, Hanna manages to hitch a ride on a commercial boat floating down the river, successfully smuggling herself into the heart of Berlin. She heads straight to the rendezvous point her father gave her, an eccentric, abandoned amusement park. Hidden inside one of the old attractions, she encounters an old family friend, a magician who was expecting her arrival. He hands Hanna a sealed letter, a fake passport, and an address where she can find her father. As they speak, the magician tells Hanna that he used to know her mother, reminiscing about what a beautiful singer she was. He plays a recording of her mother's voice, allowing Hanna to hear her mom sing for the very first time. But just as Hanna is taking in this emotional moment, the peace is shattered. Marissa and her heavily armed team surround the park. Spotting the incoming danger, the magician tells Hanna to hide. The moment Marissa's strike team breaches his home, they begin brutally beating the old man, demanding to know where Eric and Hanna are hiding. Despite the torture, he refuses to give up any information. While Hanna is hiding nearby, Marissa takes a phone call from her lead researcher regarding Hanna's blood tests. Eavesdropping on the conversation, Hanna overhears a devastating secret. Eric has been lying to her for her entire life. He isn't her real father. Instead, she is the product of a classified government experiment that Marissa ran years ago, and Eric knew everything about it. Shocked and heartbroken by this betrayal, Hanna slips out through the back door unnoticed. She runs into the city and finds an internet cafe to search for records on Eric. When the search results reveal that Eric was never married and has no records of biological children, Hanna realizes that Marissa's words were true. Eric really isn't her father. Hanna travels to the address the magician gave her, which leads her straight to her grandmother's apartment. Inside, she discovers a bullet hole piercing through a framed photograph of her grandmother. Realizing the devastating truth that her grandmother has been murdered, Hanna is left reeling in shock. Just then, Eric arrives at the apartment. Instead of a happy reunion, Hanna confronts him, demanding to know the truth about her identity. When she asks if he is her real father, Eric hesitates, trying to explain that he is the one who raised and cared for her. But Hanna cuts him off, demanding a straight answer. Cornered, Eric eventually confesses that he is not her biological father. He reveals the dark truth behind her past. Years ago, while working as a CIA agent, his assignment was to recruit pregnant women for a highly classified project. Hanna's mother was one of his recruits. Before the babies were even born, scientists altered their DNA in the womb. This genetic modification stripped the children of fear and empathy, while amplifying their physical strength and combat reflexes far beyond those of any normal human. The CIA's ultimate goal was to breed a ruthless, unstoppable army of super soldiers. Eric explains that he recruited nearly 200 women into the program, and at first, everything seemed normal. However, when the children turned 2, the government panicked and ordered Marissa to shut down the facility. Marissa began systematically executing everyone involved, including the infants. Unable to watch the slaughter, Eric rebelled. He rescued Hanna and her mother and fled, but Marissa's forces ambushed them during their escape, killing Hanna's mother. Eric admits that because Hanna is the last surviving piece of evidence of that illegal experiment, Marissa will never stop hunting her. He reveals that he spent 13 years training her in isolation not to use her, but to ensure she could defend herself when the day finally came. Tearfully, he tells her that even though he isn't her biological father, he loves her more than anyone else ever could. Hearing this truth only infuriates Hanna. She feels like her entire life has been a lie and a betrayal. Overwhelmed with anger, she turns to leave. When Eric tries to step in her way to stop her, Hanna lashes out. A brutal fight breaks out between the two, but Hanna ultimately overpowers her mentor and runs out into the night alone. Just as Hanna flees, Marissa and her tactical team arrive at the building. Spotting the incoming convoy, Eric realizes they are out of time. He yells for Hanna to run and purposely steps out into the open to draw the heat away from her. Two of Marissa's top operatives corner Eric. Despite being heavily outnumbered, Eric uses his elite training to fight back, successfully overpowering both men. But just as he is about to deliver the finishing blow, Marissa sneaks up from behind and mercilessly shoots Eric dead. Meanwhile, a grieving Hanna retreats to the only safe place she knows left, the abandoned amusement park where she first met the magician. Tragically, when she arrives, she finds the magician's lifeless body hanging from the attraction. Hanna is completely cornered and left without a single weapon to defend herself. Hearing Marissa's footsteps closing in, Hanna quickly searches the magician's body and retrieves the very arrow that was used to kill him, preparing to use it for her survival. As Hanna attempts to slip away into the shadows, Marissa steps out from the darkness, blocking her path. Trying a different tactic, Marissa tells Hanna that she actually wants to help her. Hanna refuses to listen, coldly replying that she doesn't need anyone's help. She tells Marissa that everything is already over and she just wants to be left alone, warning her to step aside. Instead of backing down, Marissa raises her weapon, and both women instantly launch into an attack. Hanna successfully wounds Marissa with her improvised arrow, but Marissa manages to fire off a round, shooting Hanna squarely in the stomach. Any normal person would be instantly incapacitated, but thanks to the genetically enhanced DNA flowing through her veins, Hanna pushes past the pain and stands right back up. Bleeding Marissa realizes her target is unstoppable. She turns and desperately tries to flee through the abandoned theme park. In a desperate bid to escape, Marissa loses her footing on a slide and tumbles helplessly to the ground, dropping her weapon. Hanna calmly approaches the wounded agent and retrieves the dropped gun. Reversing the very first scene of the movie, Hanna shoots Marissa, ending the life of the woman who created her. With Marissa dead, Hanna has eliminated the greatest threat to her existence. She is finally free, but her freedom comes at a heartbreaking cost. The only man who truly cared for her and trained her to survive this cruel world, her father, Eric, is gone. Standing alone in the quiet aftermath, Hanna faces an uncertain future completely on her own. And with that, the story ends.